obviously we want, any company in our position is going to want to see you succeed. So obviously it's on us to help you provide that messaging and what makes sense and how often to message and what kind of things to message about. Oh, well, I sit on the best practices committee for the Mobile Marketing Association, so I should probably say I know some best practices. I don't know, it really depends on the client, what you're trying to achieve. Obviously, if someone doesn't want you to message them anymore, you need to respect that. It's appropriate to ask for information. I was surprised during the Obama campaign how many people would give their zip code, which was crucial for us because we didn't trust their area code. You don't want to over-message people. You don't want to send them a message early in the morning, except when it's the vice presidential announcement, but that's a sore subject. I'd be happy to give you better, specifics in person. Sure. I'll give a couple, actually. We worked with the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. I'm sure there are a lot of NASCAR fans in here. And they wanted to use text messaging as a way to report rowdy fans or to answer questions about, like, where's the bathroom? I'm in section 12. And we told them, not a lot of people are going to text in when you also have a number people can call. Like, we don't think it's going to work, but they said, no, we want to try it out. And for a weekend, they had 3 people text in. And I'd say that was probably a failure because text messaging, in that case, wasn't the best option, right? Why am I going to send a long text when right next to it is also, or call this number? Making a phone call is a better choice. It's a better technology to use as a voice call. And so I think you need to think clearly about whether or not the application of this technology does make sense. I mean, there's brands who have approached us that I have no idea how mobile messaging can help them. I mean, we're more than willing to try, but you need to make sure that what you're doing is supported. And then the second thing you need to do is you need to make sure that there is some support. I mean, you can't just get a short code, get a keyword in a vacuum and assume people will text because it's there. Then you need to integrate it into, on your website and integrate it into your print materials. I mean, there needs to be an integrated support around it. If there's not, and if it's just, on a branch over here hanging, it might die. I mean, it depends, or it might work out great, but you need to support it, in a more integrated approach to make sure it's a success. As preface, we're not healthcare professionals, although we've thought about a lot of ways to make it useful. And I've even seen some of the mobile marketing and mobile programs here, and I wonder, is getting a message on a weekly basis of, be sure to have safe sex, here's some information about it. I don't know how to measure if that's persuasive or not. I don't know if 160 characters is a persuasive medium. There are ways that sometimes you can measure it, whether it's attendance at an event or that people come back to a website and fill in some information. I mean, there are ways to measure. But when you're trying to change behaviors, I mean, how do you determine what was the cause of the change in behavior? That's for quantitative analysis folks to delve a little deeper in. Obviously, as a technology provider, my goal is to give you as many tools as you can to measure some sort of activity, whether it's going back to a website, whether it's texting in a response, whatever it is. But to really quantify it, that's your job.
Dean and I have talked about this like a million times. How do you go from online or tech behavior to offline behavior? And so it is difficult. We can count beans for sure, but this was part of sort of my opening yesterday. Is we really need new ways and new research models for how to things you can do and there's some things you can't do. But as part of, a full strategy, it can be very effective.
This is a fundamental pet peeve of not only myself, but a number of people in my company, and so I might be a little biased. Another part of what we do is we provide content that people get on a daily basis. People get their daily hip-hop gossip and daily horoscope, and we write a lot of content like that. And we made a conscious decision to write in full language because it's a little bit more official, without being, not that it's like from some authoritarian high, but it's a communication that I expect. Like, if a friend is going to text me, I expect something short, and I don't care if there's misspells or the T9 puts in a word that's not supposed to be there. I'm like, that's fine. But if I'm getting something that I'm supposed to put a little bit more trust in, I want them to have thought it out a little bit more and create something that is smartly written in 160 characters instead of using the crutch of making, funky abbreviations. And I think also it's a little bit, I think that the abbreviations can be a little inauthentic. I wouldn't say that the research we've done on this is exhaustive by any means, but from a couple focus groups that we've done is that people in the 12 to 18 range find it amusing that adults are trying to be cool by doing this. And I agree. I mean, I'm not exactly 17 anymore, but sometimes my wife thinks I am, and I think about getting those messages similarly, and I try to put myself in their shoes, and I sort of agree. I think that, hey, I'm asking for some serious information here. In this realm, I would like it to be treated seriously, not to be treated cool and hip. That being said, obviously you don't want to overburden them with, like words this long and stuff. You need to find that right medium, that right mix of being proper English, for lack of a better term, but yet not talking over their heads at the same time. So I realize I'm a little bit of a contrarian on that point, but I'll defend that to the death if you want to talk to me later about it. So. It depends. For example, we do some alerts around pregnancy, and so obviously something that someone in their 3rd month receives is not going to be the same thing someone in their 6th month receives, and that's obviously very important. You're targeting someone where they are in their place in a particular event, pregnancy being an example here. There are times where you need to think of the messages as throwaway, standalone messages because either people are jumping in and off about participating, or it's event-based participation. So it sort of depends. You want to customize your messaging to what you're trying to communicate. And I think also everybody is assuming the model of someone texts in, they receive an automatic response. They also receive then an alert on some regular basis. And I think that's good, and I definitely support that. But I think you also need to think about the people who need more free-form responses. We've been approached, we're not doing this work, but we've been approached to put something together for what essentially is a complement to a suicide hotline. And that's something, you're not going to send a message every day saying, don't kill yourself, right? I mean, that's dumb, right? That's not a useful application of the technology. But people are sending in questions, and if you have, if that chat line basically is staffed, then they're sending back responses that are appropriate. And I think that's a much better application than kind of, hey, feel good about yourself kind of message that they get once a day. That's my gut feeling.
Thank you.